device, because that's the same as an explosive. See, first, are you trying to smuggle an explosive in? Are you from the local area? Are you trying to smuggle a recording device in? See, because they know there's no real terrorist. And then they go on. And when I watch the Marines playing the part of taking over Oakland, interrogating the mock terrorist, you're in a militia. Where are you from? Where'd you get the helmet? And they're doing the same thing. You live in Fallujah now, folks, and if you let these sickos naked body scan you, you already let them take your shoes off and all these acts of submission. Now in the last hour of flights, they say you can't talk, got to put your hands in your lap, can't have a blanket, because you all might be terrorists. The only group we can trust that's not terrorist is the government run by big banks stealing tens of trillions of dollars and lying about WMDs and killing over 1 million Iraqis and leaving our borders open and building giant prisons everywhere and sneaking in narcotics. That's the only group we can trust. But people trying to get into an expo center have got to see a rock concert, have got to be asked if they're terrorists and asked if they have a recording device and brain scanned. You know, I'm out of time. I wanted to play the Fox News piece with Geraldo trying to demonize 9/11 truth. At the start of the clip, it's up on prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com. It's been the news and feature on the front page of YouTube all day if you want to see it. It's another easy way on the front page of YouTube. Geraldo said, oh, this guy's a 9/11 truther. Does this discredit your movement? It didn't seem to discredit the Tea Parties that a Tea Party guy flew into the building when he was a Tea Party. And I pointed out the government has staged terror in the past. That's the information that gets looked at, not some patsy showing up and doing this out of the blue. And Geraldo didn't know what to say. And then his co-host basically said that I was making outrageous claims saying Gulf of Tonkin and other events were staged, and Geraldo had to admit, no, it is staged. Now, I've been telling you they're going to stage terror attacks and blame it on birthers, on truthers, and on Tea Parties. And they're now doing it. And I told you, because out of the blue, with birthers, truthers, and Tea Parties engaged in no violence ever, out of the blue, all their talking heads started saying, truthers are going to kill Obama. They're going to attack the military. They're going to attack police. You watch. That's them preparing the public. And then it happens. And then you look at the case. Underwear bomber. Family warned. State Department ordered him let on the plane. Had him let on the plane. Now confirmed. Kurt Haskell confirmed. All of it proven. The eyewitness is correct. FBI admits they lied. But no investigation. The Fort Hood shooter for 2 years talked about what he was going to do, thought he was emailing Al-Qaeda. Turned out it's this top Al-Qaeda guy who works for CIA who runs all the major patsies. In every other case, this guy's family warned him months and then weeks before, and nothing was done. They're not releasing the surveillance footage. Operation Northwoods talks about grazing or wounding troops at U.S. military bases in D.C., in Miami, and at Guantanamo Bay with people dressed up like Cubans. And even, folks, they just repeat the same thing over and over again. They're at a key juncture. Why are they so afraid of 9/11 truth? Why are they hell-bent on demonizing 9/11 truth? Because they can't stage terror attacks anymore to launch new wars, because we have educated the public about false flag terror. We've taken one of their favorite mechanisms of frame-up, a false flag, and we've exposed it. And so Southern Poverty Law Center, ADL, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, scores of other publications, Time, Newsweek, all particularly naming Alex Jones. I mean, the London Guardian said that I'm like a black hole of evil and creating mass psychosis. They are really angry right now. And that's because they want to launch new terror attacks, but they know we're going to be here exposing them. So they think if they discredit us before they stage new terror, no one will listen. But that's flawed logic. The idea of looking for the staged terror is now there. That's why Kurt Haskell, the lawyer, and his wife and others saw them lead the underwear bomber on the plane, saw them protect him without a passport, get him on, saw the man videotaping him, part of a drill, found the other bomb on the plane once they got off. Then they lied about that. All that since has come out to be true, but there's no investigation because Haskell and his wife were 9/11 truthers. We've got people everywhere. Some polls are in the mid-30s, 36% is the lowest. Some polls, 84% believe 9/11 is an inside job. Angus and Reed, New York Times, 2006. They are panicking because we've got our people everywhere who are going to record and remember what happens, and we know what to look for now. I now go to Webster Griffin Tarpley, a doctorate of history and economics, author of 9/11 Synthetic Terror, Made in the USA, a great book on 9/11 that we sell at Infowars.com. Webster, I wanted to get you on with some of the past Patsy ops versus provocateur or purely staged ops to look at what's happening with this latest event and see if you concur with me. You were on 3 weeks ago when I said they're going to stage terror and blame it on 9/11 Truth because I saw the pre-programming going on from their mouthpieces. Webster Tarpley.
Yes, certainly. There are many indications that this indeed is a staged operation with a patsy. And I guess even before we get to the patsy part, I guess the starting point is always, is there something fishy? Is there something suspicious, something that doesn't add up? And I would say in this case, according to ABC News, there's a second individual taken into custody at the shooting, briefly detained, and then released after they said that he had nothing to do with the incident. The two cops are not being allowed to talk to the press.
Yeah, that's an African immigrant. Yeah, go ahead.
The two people who are slightly wounded. Well, we think it's the African immigrant, but we don't know. That could be a cover for some other person that was actually there.
Then we have his family warning in detail.
Right, but just in terms of this, now, the guy, I have to be very brutal about him. It's a tragic case, but this is someone who is mentally ill. He is a psychotic. He is criminally insane. And we have the testimony of his psychiatrist, Dr. J. Michael Nelson, says that Bedell had bipolar disorder, which he could have controlled with medication, but instead he refused his medication and instead turned to marijuana. And I think that this is the key to it, because in order to be a patsy, it helps to have cognitive impairment, and that's what we find in this case. He's been institutionalized many times over the years. His parents essentially begged to have the police institutionalize him, hospitalize him. In that sense, there's a direct parallel to Mutalab, where the parents also say that the kid is...
He'd also been talking to the Pentagon for 5 years about some of his inventions and had talked about traveling to meet with them there. So he could have just been a mentally ill person they shoot a few of their people, kill him.
Right. Now, the question of 9/11 Truth, I think this is complete red herring, because what I see about this is a kind of a throwaway line, a chance comment 4 or 5 years ago. He's interested in this Sabao case, but he's not really interested in 9/11. If we look at him in terms of action rather than rhetoric, action for him means narcotics. He is devoted to narcotics. He wants a society based on narcotics. He wants marijuana to be the basis of the currency. He wants billions and billions of marijuana plants. And, of course, then it gets into his arrest record. And I think this is where you also see this question of the patsy. The patsy gets away with murder, or he gets away with things that the average person never could, and that would be in jail. Now, in this case, in 2006, he's arrested in California for growing marijuana plants. Now, he may have a medical marijuana card, and that may get him off, but he's also in there for resisting arrest in California. Then we have him picked up in Texas in January for speeding, but also with a marijuana pipe.
And the state police officer called his parents and said he seems like he's out of his mind. Well, Webster, we know he fits the MO, the patsy, on that front. The reason I wanted to get you on, though, was to go over some of the history of other type mental deficients they've used where it's turned out it was provocateur actions.
Yeah, well, again, the Reno, Nevada case is also, I think, significant. He's got pipes. He's driving under the influence of marijuana. He's driving while drugged. And nevertheless, he's able to go on what is described as a 6 to 8 week driving spree. Where does he get the money? And then he shows up at the Pentagon. Where was he during this 6 to 8 week period? Now, the parallels. Major Hassan is someone who worked at the Walter Reed Army Hospital here in Washington, D.C. He was active at the Bethesda Naval Medical Center. So he's a shrink among shrinks. And we have these memos from his colleagues saying this man is a psychotic. In other words, he talks about Islam, but basically his problem is that he's a psychotic, and nothing happened. Similarly with Mutalab, the parents, in this case with Bedell, have begged the police to take him into custody. Nothing happened. So we look at Bedell. He's got 4 or 5 things going for him. He's got marijuana convictions, speeding convictions. His parents put in a missing persons report. They say he may be armed, may be dangerous. Nothing happens. So it seems to me you've got two sides. If you want to call anybody to account, let's call in George Soros and ask him about the implications of marijuana and narcotics for this case, rather than pin it on 9/11. I don't think you can really use these cases to pin it on anybody. But in this case, there is a direct role of marijuana in the guy's psychosis, which prepares him for the role that he's then...
Okay, we know you hate marijuana, Webster. That's great. My issue is I wanted to get you on because you're very researched on all the other patsies from Miami and